Welcome back, Motives, to the Shades of Tone. I'm happy you're here. So far in this series, we've talked about why people-pleasing forms and what it costs. Today, we're talking about the part that scares people the most: boundaries. Not the Instagram version, not the buzzword version, but the real lived experience of setting boundaries. When your body has been trained to believe that boundaries equal danger. If the word boundary makes you tense, defensive, or anxious, this episode is for you. Because for many people, boundaries don't feel empowering at first. They feel selfish. They feel mean. They feel like you're about to lose connection. And that reaction is not random. Today, we're going to talk about why boundaries feel so uncomfortable, what guilt actually is, and how to start interrupting people-pleasing without betraying your values. Why boundaries feel threatening. Let's start with the truth most people don't say out loud. People pleasers don't struggle with boundaries because they don't know. They struggle because boundaries activate fear. Fear of disappointing others, being misunderstood, being labeled difficult, losing closeness, and causing emotional harm. From a nervous system perspective, this makes sense. If you learned early on that conflict led to withdrawal, speaking up led to punishment, and needs led to rejection, then boundaries don't register as neutral communication. They register as risk. Your body isn't asking, is this healthy? It's asking, will this cost me connection? That's why you can logically understand boundaries and still feel physically uncomfortable setting them. This is not weakness. This is conditioning. Let's talk about what boundaries actually are and are not. Let's reframe. Boundaries are not punishment, rejection, control, ultimatums, or walls. Boundaries are information. They communicate what you can and cannot do, what you are and are not available for, and where responsibility begins and ends. A healthy boundary is not you need to change. It is, here is what I will do to take care of myself. This matters because people pleasers often confuse boundaries with cruelty. But cruelty is intentional harm. Boundaries are self-honesty. And honesty, even when uncomfortable, is not mean. What feels mean is often just unfamiliar. Guilt, the emotion that keeps people stuck. Let's talk about guilt, because guilt is the main reason people don't follow through with boundaries. Here's something important. Guilt does not always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes guilt means I broke a rule I was never allowed to question. People pleasers often carry learned guilt. Learned guilt sounds like I shouldn't say no. Other people have it worse. I don't want to hurt anyone. I can just push through. But here's the question we rarely ask. Who decided that your discomfort was less important than everyone else's comfort? Guilt often shows up when you stop over functioning. Not because you're harming someone, but because you're no longer abandoning yourself. That kind of guilt is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're changing a pattern. This part is hard for people pleasers. You are used to over explaining. You explain because you're trying to prevent disappointment, manage reactions, be understood, and avoid conflict. But over explaining is still a form of people pleasing. It keeps the focus on how the other person feels instead of what you need. Boundaries do not require long justifications. You don't need a perfect reason, a dramatic explanation, or permission. You need clarity. And clarity can be simple. Examples of clarity is that doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that. And I can't commit to that right now. Notice how your body reacts just hearing those. That reaction is the work. Let's get practical. Disruption doesn't mean becoming harsh or distant. It means slowing the pattern down. Here are 3 interruption points. First, the pause. Instead of answering immediately, say, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. This creates space between impulse and choice. Second, the body check. Ask yourself, do I feel tense or open? Am I agreeing out of fear or capacity? Your body knows before your mind rationalizes. Third, the self-permission. Remind yourself, discomfort is allowed. You are not doing something wrong by choosing yourself. Boundaries don't have to be loud. They just have to be honest. Let's pause together. Ask yourself, where in my life do I say yes automatically? What boundary have I been avoiding? What am I afraid will happen if I say no? Now ask, what is already happening because I said no? You don't need answers today. Awareness is enough. You don't have to become someone else. A fear many people have is, if I stop people pleasing, I'll become cold or selfish. That fear does make sense, especially if your identity has been built around being caring. But boundaries don't remove compassion, they protect it. Resentment grows when kindness has no limits. Boundaries allow you to give with consent, not obligation. And that changes everything. If this episode felt challenging, let me say this gently. You are not late to learning this. You are not bad at boundaries. You were just trained to prioritize connection over self. And now you're learning how to hold both. In the next episode, we're talking about integration, how to live, relate, and love without disappearing, and what healthy connection actually feels like when it's mutual. Until then, remember, honesty is not cruelty, boundaries are not rejection, and choosing yourself does not make you selfish. It makes you whole. If you would like the worksheet that accompanies this podcast episode, reach out to us and we'll send it right over. As always, always love. To respond to a question, make a suggestion for an episode, to be a guest, or give feedback, reach out to us at info@tonemotivates.com. You can also find us on social media at Tone Motivates on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and at Shades of Tone _podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, you can find us at tonemotivates.com, where all of those links are as well.